Emiya Shirou is screwed. And in the worst way possible. Why? Simple, because he's stuck in a situation between a rock and a hard place, or rather 6 knights and a wall, to be more precise. Right now, Shirou is stuck in one of Chaldea's hallways in which his back is up against the wall while he is facing the knights of the round who are glaring at him. Shirou sighed at the situation he was in. There were several situations Shirou was in the past, and this was not one of them. Sure, he plunged himself into a holy grail war, fought off multiple servants, including the king of heroes, nearly got himself killed multiple times, and actually died once from a certain blue lancer. But this was one situation Shirou hoped he would never get himself into. And yet, as his luck would have it, he got himself into one. Right now, Gawain, Lancelot, Mordred, Gareth, Tristan, and Bedivere were looking at Shirou with interest. Mordred looked like she was scowling, Gawain looked like he was interrogating him, Lancelot looked like he was disappointed, Tristan actually opened his eyes for once in disbelief, and Bedivere and Gareth looked at him with curiosity. Shirou sighed again. Just how did I end up in this situation? He thought as he thought about the events that led up to this point. A few minutes earlier, Shirou was just walking down in Chaldea's hallway with Arturia, when suddenly, he felt something following behind him. Shirou? Is there anything wrong? Arturia asked. Nothing. It's just that, it feels like something is following me. Arturia then looked behind, but saw nothing. I don't see anything, Shirou. Maybe it's just your imagination. You sure? It doesn't feel like it. Maybe you're just overreacting a bit. Anyway, Shirou, let's hurry. I'm hungry. Arturia moaned. Shirou chuckled. All right. He said as he and Arturia went into the cafeteria. However, what Shirou didn't know was that he was being followed by Gawain, Lancelot, Mordred, Gareth, Tristan, and Bedivere, who reluctantly came along. Ever since they found out about Shirou's interactions with their king and her multiple versions and how different they act when with Shirou, it piqued their interest, especially Mordred's. Not only that, but after seeing the interactions between Shirou and the Arturias over time, their interest went up even further. And how did they find out about Shirou? Simple. It was Merlin that told them about Shirou. Do you think he sees us? Gawain asked. Nah. Pretty sure he can't sense us this far away, Tristan replied. Lancelot sighed. Just why are we doing this again, he asked. Isn't it obvious? To find out what relationship this Shirou have with father and her other versions, Mordred replied. I want to know why father always act like this when Shirou's around. I mean, have you seen what happened last week? The other knights looked at her and asked, what happened? Simple. I saw Shirou was cooking for father and her other versions in the cafeteria, and you want to know what happened? They looked at her in curiosity, wanting to know what happened next. All of a sudden, father and her other versions started smiling as soon as they took a bite of Shirou's food. And I kid you not, I swear that they had a pink and yellow aura around them with flowers on the side as well. The knights were surprised at Mordred's explanation. Wow. To think that he can cook so well to create such a reaction to our king beside the archer at the counter, he must be formidable. Yeah. Anyway, what about you guys? Have you seen the reactions my father and her versions has when she's with Shirou? Lancelot then stated his experience. Well, I have. It happened a few days ago. I happened to see Shirou with the Lancer version of our king, and you won't believe what our king asked him to do. What? The Lancer version of our king asked Shirou to give her a massage. That was when Mordred, Gawain, Tristan, Gareth, and Bedivere dropped their mouths in shock. What? Yes. You heard me correctly. And the result? Gawain asked. Well, let's just say, she was really satisfied with the massage. A bit too satisfied, if I may have to say. What do you mean? Tristan asked. Lancelot let out a sigh before saying, her face showed an expression that I have never seen before. What was it? Bedivere asked. Pure joy. The rest of the knights of the round were just speechless at Lancelot's answer. Their king, who doesn't show any emotion, had a face of pure joy when Shirou gave her a massage? It was something they never heard of. And that wasn't the end. Mordred, Gawain, Tristan, Gareth, and Bedivere turned their heads at Lancelot. What do you mean? They asked. Apparently, the Lancer Altar and Ruler versions came in and asked for the same thing as well. And well, the same effects happened on them as well. Wow, Tristan said. Yeah. Anyway, how about you, Gawain? Well, just yesterday, I saw Shirou training the Lily version of our king. And what happened? Bedivere asked. Let's just say, she's a lot stronger now. How can you be sure? Lancelot asked. I had a training spar with her afterwards to see if she got stronger. And what happened? Mordred asked. Well, she beat me. The rest of the knights were surprised at Gawain's statement. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, what about you, Tristan? For me, during last week, I saw the altar version of cleaning Shirou up. Apparently, he had some blood on his face during a training session, and guess what? The altar version of our king grabbed a napkin out of nowhere and just wiped the blood stain off his face with it. And to be clear on something, the altar version of our king is ruthless and never shows any hospitality to anyone. Wow. Really? Yeah. And what about you, Bedivere? Have you seen the interactions? For me, a while ago, I saw Shirou interacting with the archer and rider altar versions of our king. Apparently, they were watching a movie of some sort. During the movie, both versions of our king fell asleep on his shoulder. And that lasted until the end of the movie. Wow, Mordred said. How about you, Gareth? For me, it was seeing Shirou making sweets for the Santa altar, Mysterious Heroine X, X altar, and XX. Wow. Anyway, just why are we here waiting? Bedivere asked. Shoo. Gawain said as he pointed at Shirou leaving the cafeteria. As Shirou began walking down the cafeteria, they then began to come out of their hiding spot and started following Shirou again. As Shirou walked down the hallway, he felt the same sensation again. Again, it's that familiar feeling again, and it's getting stronger by the second. Eventually, Shirou had enough of that weird feeling on his back and decided to speed his walking pace a bit faster. And yet, the weird feeling he had was still inside of him. That was when Shirou took a risk and went left in one of the hallways of Chaldea, only to find out that it leads to a dead end. Shirou mentally cursed himself and tried to turn back but was immediately blocked by the knights of the round. Back to the present. Shirou sighed at the situation after thinking about the funny feeling he had earlier. What kind of situation is this? Isn't this one of those situations you would see on television in dramas and such? And what did I do to get myself in this situation? He thought as his back was up against the wall as he nervously stared at the knights looming at him. As he looked at the knights looming over him, he noticed that out of them, only Bedivere and Gareth were the only ones looking at him in pure curiosity. Everyone else had an angry face on him. After a few minutes of being in this awkward situation, Shirou decides to end the silence. Excuse me, but what is this situation? He asked. Bedivere smiled apologetically. Sorry, but due to everyone's curiosity and Merlin telling us, we want to know what's the relationship between you and our king, Gawain stated. Yeah. What's the deal between you and father? Mordred asked. Do you plan on doing something to our king? Lancelot asked menacingly. What are your intentions towards our king? Tristan asked sternly. How do you know her? Gareth asked. Shirou inwardly groaned as he now knew why the Knights of the Round suddenly decided to gang up upon him in this situation. Damn it, Merlin. Why? Shirou then gathered up his thoughts and said. Listen, I don't know what Merlin told you, but I'll tell you this. I will never, ever, hurt her on my own life. I swear. And that includes her other versions as well. And how so? Tristan asked. Because I am her scabbard. At that moment, there was another moment of silence as the Knights of the Round were processing the information they just received. They couldn't believe that he was worthy enough to carry Avalon, the sheath, to Excalibur. For him to declare something like that, they just couldn't believe it. After a few minutes, Gawain muttered, I see, I see. Shirou was confused. So you're the kings. That's when the Knights of the Round looked at him again, and like before, Gawain, Lancelot, Tristan, and Mordred were looking at him with eyes of seriousness, and Bedivere and Gareth were looking at him with eyes of pure curiosity. They were about to interrogate him even further, until they all felt an aura way too familiar behind them. Or rather, familiar auras. You guys. A bunch of familiar voices moaned. The Knights slowly turned around, knowing who was behind them. As such, they saw Arturia Alter, Arturia Lily, Lancer Arturia Alter, Ruler Arturia, Archer Arturia, Rider Arturia Alter, Santa Alter Arturia, Mysterious Heroine X Alter, and Mysterious Heroine XX standing behind with faces of anger on them. And they were not happy with the behavior they displayed in front of Shirou. Do not touch Shirou, they exclaimed. And then all the Arturias unleashed hell upon the Knights of the Round, 2 / Minutes later. Mordred, Gawain, Lancelot, Tristan, Gareth, and Bedivere were sitting in size form after they received their punishment from the Arturias. Shirou on the other hand was standing beside the Arturias awkwardly as he watched the Knights of the Round being scolded. Okay. Who dared to bring out Shirou while I was away? Arturia yelled. But my king, we did that for your sake. Gawain tried to explain, but was cut off. Shut up. Where did you even heard the story about Shirou? Arturia Alter asked. From Merlin, Lancelot said. All the Arturias shouted in fury after hearing that statement. Merlin, 9 /. Meanwhile, in another place in Chaldea, Merlin suddenly stiffened. HM? Merlin, what's wrong? Caster Gilgamesh asked. For some reason, I feel like I should hide somewhere far away later. Caster Gilgamesh looked confused at Merlin's statement. Back to where Shirou, the Arturias, and the Knights of the Round are. So basically, Merlin told all of you about our interactions with Shirou, and all of you wanted to find out what relationship we have with Shirou. Is that correct? Lancer Arturia asked. Yes, my liege, Bedivere said. But why? Arturia Lily asked. Well, Tristan said, but Mordred cut him off. Because whenever you're with him, you would show a different side of you that we never seen before, father. I mean seriously, when you're around him, you were actually smiling for once, and it was genuine. And not only that, but you would always engage in activities with him every time. You were looking so happy whenever you were doing something with Shirou. It got all of us curious seeing why you would act like this when you're with him. What's your relationship with him? And what does he mean he's your scabbard? Mordred exclaimed. Mordred then calmed down for a few minutes after her rant/question, letting Arturia answer her question. Well, Shirou was my master during the 5th Holy Grail War. The knights were shocked at this. What? They exclaimed. Yes. You all heard me correctly. Shirou was my master during the 5th Holy Grail War in Fuyuki. During my time in Fuyuki, me and Shirou would go up against multiple servants that were summoned during the war. One of them was the king of heroes, Gilgamesh. Really? The knight said in surprise. Yes. In fact, it was that war that brought us together, and made us fall in love together. The knights gasped at what Arturia said. Wow, Mordred said. Wait, just why is Shirou your scabbard? It's because he's the current bearer of Avalon. What's more, he is me and my other version's consort. So hold him in higher regard than even Guinevere, as so do I and my other versions. Everyone was in thought at what Arturia said, especially Mordred. Higher than the queen? Okay, he may be the bearer of Father's scabbard and Father's former master, but what's so special about him that makes Father, wait, could this mean? Mordred then asked Arturia one question that shocked everyone. A question, my king. Speak. If we were to treat Shirou as well as, or greater than Guinevere, that would require us to treat him on the level of royalty. What's more, if he is truly yours and your alternate version's consort, does that make him our new queen? That's when everything went into chaos as everyone was trying to process what Mordred just said, especially Shirou. What? Shirou exclaimed. Silence occurred for a few seconds until Arturia said her answer. I suppose? Then the other Arturias said their answers. I agree, Arturia Alter said. Same, Arturia Lily said. Me too, Lancer Arturia said. I agree with my counterpart, Lancer Arturia Alter said. Same as well, Ruler Arturia said. I wouldn't mind, Archer Arturia said. Me neither, Rider Arturia Alter said. Same, Santa Alter Arturia said. I'm not even a king, and I'm on board with this as well, Mysterious Heroine X said. As well am I, Mysterious Heroine X Alter said. Me too, Mysterious Heroine XX said. Wait. Don't I dash Shirou tried to say, but was interrupted. All hail Queen Shirou. Gawain exclaimed. All hail Queen Shirou. Bedivere, Lancelot, Tristan, Gareth, and Mordred followed. Shirou sighed at what just transpired. Just earlier, he was just escorting Arturia down to the cafeteria, and now he was being hailed as a queen by the Knights of the Round. Just what has my life become now? He thought. Wait, Mordred suddenly said, stopping the chanting. If Shirou's the new queen, does that make him my mother or stepmother? Everyone went silent again for a few minutes after hearing Mordred's question. Everyone beside Mordred exclaimed. And just like that, Emiya Shirou became Queen Shirou, and possibly Mordred's mother or stepmother.